You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Hardin. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Hardin to see and purchase his books.
America, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
I'm not ready to end the fight. I'm not ready to back down. 'Cause I've been through hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to turn back now. You know I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
All right, folks. Well, happy Tuesday evening. Well, we've had some technical difficulties, which I don't know what it is about Tuesday nights lately. Lately, it seems like Tuesday nights, Thursday nights are always when it suddenly decides to rain and storm in Oklahoma. So Skype is being completely retarded. However, we do have... Oh, I'm sorry. I guess we're not supposed to say retarded anymore. However, I do have my co-host still with us. We've actually found a way to keep the show going anyway, even though it took us a few minutes to get sorted. So we're actually starting at nearly the half-hour mark instead of the top of the hour. But how is everybody doing this evening? And hello, Miss Jen. How are you?
I'm all right. Just trying to stay on the line with you.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just one of those things. It seems like it's kind of become a recurring theme. It's like, it's Tuesday, so now either Skype's not going to work, or the internet's going to go wonky, or we're going to have a thunderstorm that keeps trying to knock out my power. And tonight it's actually been all three, so yay. Trifecta of crud. Speaking of crud, I actually am suffering from the crud, so I have just enough cough drops and just enough of a voice to get through about an hour. So we're going to try to cram as much of this in as we can, because there will not be an America Off the Rails tonight. I promise I will do everything I can to be back tomorrow night, but if I don't find a way to deal with the fact that right now it feels like there's about 1 million different pieces of glass that I'm gargling in my throat, I may not have much of a voice tomorrow either. Now, that being said, there are lots of things in the news. One of them has actually been being passed around quite a bit, and believe it or not, it's actually an article from Politico, which is kind of like one of those things that conservatives rarely, open for fear of, contamination or anything. But they actually have a pretty scathing piece about former President Obama, about all kinds of little things that he did that nobody knew about to make the Iran deal come together. Just on the surface, it's all kind of scary. You look even further in the article, it's even more scary than just reading the headline. So, it's not good.
No, it's I was actually I'm still combing through the details, but oh my gosh, are there so many details that we absolutely had no idea about.
Well, this is why everybody that knew anything about how this stuff is supposed to work kept saying this type of stuff is really supposed to go through the Senate because it's kind of a treaty. Treaties are supposed to go through Congress because it gives people the ability to take things apart, put them back together, read through them, figure out exactly what's going to be going on with it. And apparently there were all kinds of interesting little anecdotes about this deal that we knew absolutely nothing about.
Right. I mean, including the fact that they were calling these people, civilians that were were a security risk, but really weren't anymore. And so that's part of why we were negotiating this. I mean, we're talking about people that were supplying Iran with U.S.-made. Here, I'm just going to read this. 3 allegedly were part of an illegal procurement network supplying Iran with U.S.-made microelectronics with applications in surface-to-air and cruise missiles, like the kind Tehran test-fired recently. Another was serving an 8-year sentence for conspiring to supply Iran with satellite technology and hardware. So, and this person was supposed to pay $10 million and because he received this money from Tehran, and so they even dropped that off of the deal. There were, oh my gosh, this is just crazy. So it ends up being that there were international arrest warrants and charges dropped against 14 other men who were all fugitives. 3 fugitives sought to lease Boeing aircraft for an Iranian airline. I mean, that supports Hezbollah. This is just, and that's just the first few paragraphs. This goes on and on and on. Smuggling U.S. military antennas. there's someone involved in a conspiracy for nuclear applications to Iran via China. I mean, this is really bad. And, you know, we all knew something was up. We all knew that this was not a good deal. But I didn't even in my wildest dreams think about all of these various connections other than, oh, these people are just kind of, you know, terroristic. No, like we're talking about like aeronautical scientists with aerospace engineers and all these people that had a lot of information and technology that they're passing on. And, you know, we don't really use the word spy anymore, but basically spy type stuff. This is crazy.
It just amazes me the number of people that in one way or another have done things that would have gotten other members of a presidential administration shot in earlier times in this country. I mean, there's actually been a member of the State Department who's been brought up on charges for dealing kind of shadily with China. I mean, they weren't actually a direct reportee to Hillary Clinton, but they were actually a member of the State Department. Now you have all of this coming out about the Iran deal and all the things that we knew were there, but nobody would admit were there because who wants to think about the fact that your president is making deals that actually risk national security? I mean, we're literally talking about them getting people handed back over to a government that hates us, that we're here doing things to weaken us on an international level.
Right. I mean, I'm not so naive as to think that sometimes some things are not necessary and you're going to have to let bad guys, you know, if you think about it in pretty simplistic terms, you're going to have to let the bad guys go or not, you know, maybe get what you want out of them in order to put off some other greater, you know, problem or dangerous situation. I understand that can be something that unfortunately world leaders have to deal with. And we don't really want to have to think about it or know about it. But this goes so much further. I mean, this is even saying, how, you know, so the White House had, you know, this National Counterproliferation Initiative, and they were targeting Iran with it. And that's part of what they were kind of bragging on leading up to this deal. And it's now found in this Politico investigation that the Justice and State Department officials denied or delayed requests from prosecutors and agents to lure key Iranian fugitives to friendly countries so they could be arrested. So this isn't even just like these 7 guys and then these 14 others that were basically not even talked about at all, but that were also, you know, declined to be charged or they made their arrest warrants disappear. And then you're talking about this also, that you're just, it's one thing after another. So then there's also all of these people that they have been probably working on in counterterrorism networks, probably globally with multiple countries, you know, on an international level, that they denied and delayed the ability for them to do these things, for them to be arrested in order to appease Iran in these deals. So it wasn't just 7 people. We're talking about upwards of 30, 40, 50. We don't even really know, that were basically just given the green light and the walking papers with this.
I mean, I don't understand what the whole point of this was. I mean, it's not like, I mean, we really didn't get anything out of this Iranian deal. There's nothing that came out of this deal that justifies what has been done and what was done behind closed doors and what was done without even the approval of the people that usually deal with these type of situations. I don't understand this. And what I don't understand is, why are we just talking about this now? Why did we wait until Barack Obama was out of office and had done all the damage they could possibly do before anybody started really talking about what was going on with this Iran deal? And by anybody, I mean people from actual mainstream media, because, I mean, there are a lot of us that for the last couple of years have been pointing out everything that we possibly could about the Iranian deal and how much it stank, but nobody wants to listen because it doesn't matter, because Obama's the guy that kids used to sing songs about in elementary school.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, that would be something to, in several pieces of this, it does say Politico's investigation. and their ongoing investigation. So I would be interested to know if it's just taken this long to verify and to really get all of the facts together in order to be able to put this out there to the public, or, you know, we do know that their leanings are not exactly always very centrist or center right. So maybe it had a little bit more to do with the higher ups not wanting it to be published until Obama was gone. I don't know. But, you know, it seems like some very good investigative journalistic, you know, work happened here. And if they were able to, then how come we're not hearing this from various other people and agencies?
Well, I mean, exactly. So, I mean, that's kind of my point. So I'm going to take the gloves off for a second and just call it the way I see it. If a leftist rag like Politico can find this stuff and publish it, why is nobody else talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And I mean, this goes into extensive detail. This is not something that kind of vaguely states some things and says a source says or a blah, blah, blah. I mean, this goes into a lot of detail regarding cases that were dropped or dismissed, arrest warrants, international arrest warrants that just disappeared, various other people that were involved in what they were looked at for, and how they are just now totally off the radar of the Justice Department and seemingly our national security. So it's really head scratching. It's hard for me to believe that any of this is not easily verifiable if they could, you know, put it into such great detail.
So on a side note, only because I happened to pull this up and I'm kind of flabbergasted. So remember how we've been talking about playing with the idea of if we can get enough live listeners going to start using the feature that you and I are on right now to start taking callers? So the really cool thing is we don't really have a call screener yet, but now I kind of really don't need one because it actually tells me your name and where you're calling from on the screen, which is kind of awesome.
Nice.
Okay, so not to completely ruin the whole train of thought there, but that just kind of flabbergasted me because I've used this before and I don't remember it saying anybody's name before, so maybe they've done an update of some kind. Because yeah, it literally tells me your name and where you are, which kind of is half the thing that a call screener would do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too bad there's no way for you to type in when you're, you know, after you put in the PIN. Too bad there's no way to program it with like a thing that says, "What are you calling about today?" and you type something in. Because then it would put it all on the screen and it could just be sitting there waiting. Mental side note, sorry. I get sometimes distracted by the geeky things. My apologies. Anyway.
No worries.
I don't know. I mean, you know, in between this story coming out and the fact that Barack Obama just made his entire yearly salary as president to go speak in Chicago for an hour yesterday, kind of has me a little angry. I mean, not that I'm begrudging the guy for making any money, but he was actually speaking in front of a bunch of Wall Street execs. I thought the Democrats and Wall Street didn't like each other. I'm confused.
No, they do, but just only when it serves them, and then otherwise keep hush about it.
So it's kind of like that whole professional wrestling thing where they pretend to hate each other on camera and go out for beers afterwards. That's kind of what we're looking at. Is that what you're telling me?
I believe that's the case, yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of like politics in D.C. now. They pretend to hate each other till nobody's looking. And then they get together and figure out how they're going to screw us. Yay, fun times. I'm sorry, that sounded bitter, but who am I to say anything else? Because I am kind of bitter. We have a huge uniparty thing going on, and it doesn't seem like it's ever going to get any better.
No. It really doesn't. I think that you know, it's interesting to me that something like this can come out and by the way, like even on conservative Twitter, like I hardly saw it shared around very much. It was shared some, but that it's not having the kind of traction. I mean, this should be headlining the news tonight, and I just don't think we're ever going to get that kind of honest review of anything that happened during those years for at least the foreseeable future in the mainstream media.
Well, you know what they're talking about on the headlines instead? O'Reilly out at Fox, Sean Hannity next to be out at Fox, and Dems are threatening government shutdown if Obama doesn't back down from his proposal to put funding for the wall in the budget that they're reviewing right now. So, anybody remember?
But now it's Patriot.
Anybody remember when the Democrats hated government shutdowns and it was terrible and it was all the Republicans' fault and they were putting people out of work?
No, now it's patriotic and it's their duty to fight against Trump.
I'm just tired of the crap. I mean, I know I say this pretty much every week, but the political musical chairs are nauseating because when the Republicans were the ones that were able to basically block pretty much anything that the Democrats were trying to do, it was patriotic for them to do it. Now and then the Democrats were like, "Oh my God, it's all the Republicans' fault," and the bears are from the forest are going to get laid off, and they're not going to be able to do this, and the monuments are going to close. Never mind the fact that these things are all open to the public 24/7. They literally spent money to put guards and barricades around monuments to keep people out of them during a government shutdown. So we spent money to keep people out of monuments during a government shutdown. But now the Democrats are like, but now it's okay for the government shutdown because Trump is evil and the wall is a bad idea and we don't need funding for that. And this idea they have of pulling funding for Planned Parenthood, that needs to stop. And Democrats are going to stand up for you, America. So you're going to put people out of work like you used to complain that the Republicans were doing, and you're doing this to stand up for America? I'm confused.
Well, no, I mean, but this is the name of the game, right? It's always going to be whatever suits their needs and purposes, their agenda. That will be the right way. That will be the noble and honorable and necessary thing. When the shoe's on the other foot and the other side is trying to do it, then they are just trying to hinder something. They are wrong and they're un-American and they are, against the taxpayer and they hate America when they try to do it. So that it's just always that same old hypocrisy. It's the same old song and dance from the Dems. Just like it was with the filibuster, just like it was. I mean, it's always going to be like this. It's fine when it suits their purposes, and it's actually even argued to be moral and honorable. But when it does not, it's the devil.
You said the devil. I'm all of a sudden having flashbacks of the Waterboy. Foosball is the devil, Bobby.
I know, it's what makes me always think of it too.
So speaking of the devil, Trump has a new devil. Apparently, Canada's now the devil.
Oh, what did he say about Canada? I missed it.
Oh, well, he's queuing up that old South Park song, Blame Canada, because apparently their trade policies are unfair and unequitable, and we're going to do stuff to fix it. They've already started placing tariffs on Canadian lumber, and there was something else that we placed a tariff on today that I can't think of it. The name escapes me right now. But so, yeah, we've now not only picked a fight with Mexico, now we're picking one with Canada. Eh?
Yay. Well, I mean, I feel like this is going to keep happening over the next 7 years. Hopefully maybe it's only 3. I don't know, but it just seems like he's only gaining momentum. But no matter how much the left screams, I don't think that this is ever going to stop. He's always going to be denigrating some country, and unfortunately, they're our neighbors. But they can do one other thing, or the prime minister can kiss his butt and he'll turn it right back around, and they'll be the most wonderful country and wonderful ally and friend and neighbor that there ever was. So I just don't take it too seriously when he kind of starts berating other countries.
Oh, no, I mean, I really don't either. But it was just funny because he was tweeting about how Canada had unfair trade policies with the U.S. and how we're not going to stand for this. You just watch. And then Canada looked at his Twitter feed and went, "What are you talking about, you hoser?" And they all went back to work. I mean, look, I've said this before, and I will say it again. So the other thing that I really don't understand is it seems like President Trump spends an awful lot of time on his personal Twitter account instead of the POTUS account. So is he letting his team run the POTUS account, and he's keeping them out of the real Donald Trump account, and that's why it's the crazy one still? Or I don't understand the plan here.
I don't know either. I think he kind of looks at it maybe as like this is his business Twitter and then this is his personal Twitter. So he's still going to be, good old Donald Trump with all of his craziness on his, real Donald Trump account. And then the POTUS account is going to be more official and tweet the stats and, the different photo ops and all of those kinds of things and be more put together. That's what I just guess is how this is going.
So, Donald Boobala baby, you have staff to run your Twitter accounts. For the love of God, quit, because you make yourself look crazy every time you tweet something like this. I mean, the tweet, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, not that he listens to me, because apparently he doesn't like me much.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was going to say there's other little Trump news is that the county commissioner of Palm Beach County, Florida, is proposing a tax on Trump's visit to Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, nice.
Yes. He wants to tax Trump to help relieve like the burden that they have to use of the resources or whatever to keep him safe while he's there, and just all that is entailed in him being there. So I think that's kind of interesting.
So in other words, he wants us to foot the bill, which we're already doing anyway. I'm confused.
Well, so he says here, so the county commissioner's name is Bradshaw. He said he is confident the government will reimburse the county for the cost, adding that he had a personal conversation with Trump in February and he understands. The thing is that I mean, I don't know. I don't even know where to go with this kind of thing and how to make it right or fair or whatever. I do know that this may not be entirely correct because I know that the federal government does pay for part of the national security, which means hiring of the local law enforcement when the president does visit certain places. And part of the reason I know this is because when Obama came to downtown Austin several times, and specifically during South by Southwest a couple years ago, that it was an ordeal. But I know that when it was all said and done, like the city council was getting reimbursed, the city in general was getting reimbursed for portions of what we had to do for extra security to ensure that visit went smoothly. So I'm a little bit skeptical. He's saying that it's like $60,000 a day when he's there visiting. And I know that the city does have to incur some costs on its own. But I just wonder if maybe he doesn't even know how much that he will eventually get paid. And I don't know when they get paid that. They might get paid that 3 years from now. Who knows? The federal government, if it works anything like local government, is slow as can be. So I'm sure it's not going to be in a timely manner. But I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just sounds like a bunch of whining to me, which is kind of what I've gotten used to anytime it has anything at all to do with Trump. Speaking of other Trump-related news, apparently the wall is possibly in jeopardy based on this government shutdown that the Dems are threatening. It kind of get the impression that the Republicans are going to do their old waffle falafel and kind of back off for right now and try to bring it up again later, because it seems like right now their main focus is going to be tax reform. And, of course, everybody's mad because Donald Trump kind of let it slip that while he may not get the funding in for the wall itself, he's going to try to make sure that they do get some funding for building up some of the fence, replacing some fence, and possibly finding a way to use technology to help assist with the wall as well. So now we're back to what he talked about in July, which is the wall being a combination of physical wall, fencing, and technology. And, of course, now everybody's having a cow again because they didn't listen the first time.
Yeah, and I mean, first of all, like we've all been saying it, like this is not really going to happen the way that he said it would. It was never going to. But also, I don't know that it's. I know that some of his diehard supporters just want this to happen like immediately. I mean, we're talking about him just being a few months into office. Obamacare didn't roll out in the beginning. So when you have a pet project of a president, it usually does take several years to put in place if it is going to happen, which I'm not sure the wall will at all. I think it's going to be a lot, like you said, a lot of different kinds of ways that will seemingly make a wall and secure our border, not necessarily just this big golden wall. But I thought it was interesting, too, though, that Senator Ted Cruz has come out and said that he has an idea of a way to pay for part of this fencing, walling, whatever, extra security at the border, would be to pay for it with money seized from Mexican drug lords.
Actually, I saw that. I've actually, because the first place I saw it was Breitbart, and I tend to try to avoid opening them anymore ever.
Yeah.
So I did a search and found a New York Post article that talks about much the same thing. So apparently it's legit. He's actually proposing that they use. He introduced a bill called "Ensuring Lawful Collection of Hidden Assets to Private Order," or El Chapo.
Yes. So I did know this has been a number that's been thrown out there for the last several months, and being in Texas, we do hear about El Chapo quite a bit. So we've heard about this new thing that Cruz is talking about, because El Chapo, they've been trying to get at least somewhere around $14 billion of El Chapo's drug profits. So the U.S. prosecutors, and they've filed for them. He has money, spread out all over the place and in various ways that seem to be illegal, but they're arguing that some of this is not legal because it is drug money that he has just put in the hands of trusts and things where it looks like it's legit and it's not. So they have been fighting for that for a little while, but to the tune of $14 billion. So what Cruz is saying is that under this funding titled "Ensuring Lawful Collection of Hidden Assets to Provide Order," or El Chapo, that would go a long way towards securing the border. And I don't, if you're going to try to find, I don't necessarily disagree with something like this. Like, yeah, use seized assets from known murderers and drug kingpins that we legally have, seized in the United States. Use those to do something about the problem we have to the south of us. But I know it won't be well received much beyond Texas, maybe.
I mean, I really don't have an issue with it. I actually saw something else that I thought was kind of interesting. One of Donald Trump's supporters actually started putting out a little meme that's been going around Facebook and Twitter of, if you were given the chance to donate $10 to build Trump's wall, would you do it if one of the bricks would wind up having your name on it? And I've actually seen a pretty positive response from that. So I don't know. Maybe there's a way to get it funded even if Congress tells him to F off.
That's not a bad idea. That's how they have built various memorials all over, including like 9/11, and so think of this as like a memorial wall, and people can donate and have their family's name inscribed, and maybe in the name of loved ones or of activists or whoever, and let's get it built.
Oh, I mean, crazier things have happened. I mean, if we're actually going to put up this crazy wall that looks like it would be something from, like, The Hobbit or something, I mean, because it actually kind of reminds... some of the sketches I've seen remind me of, like, the Wall of Mordor or something. Some of these people have some crazy ideas about how this wall's going to look and how tall it's going to be. But here's my thing. Because whether you like it or not, something that has happened since Donald Trump has assumed office illegal immigration, by all traceable numbers, is down 67%. Now, it was already on the way down based on the fact that, nobody talks about the fact that under the Obama administration, a large number of people were actually deported. A large number of people were actually deported. But so it was already kind of on the way down, but it's actually dropped substantially. So I'm just thinking, even if we don't get the wall right away, we're already seeing positive impacts. Even if we don't get the wall at all, we're already seeing positive impacts. Because you and I both know that if they actually took the time to put together some decent fencing and actually use technology that exists now, we could actually enforce border security without necessarily even needing a physical wall. The physical wall, I think, was just a way to kind of get Trump's folks to visualize what he was talking about. Because even he told them months ago that it wasn't all going to be a physical wall, even if he got it built. And they seemed to tune out after they heard wall.
Well, and you know what? Another thing that got tuned out was the other side of things, which is all the people screaming about, how dare he propose a wall? What do you mean a wall? That is insane. That won't do it. Went on and on about this wall and how ridiculous it was, not understanding that there was already funding for an approved building of a border fence or wall, and that actually several hundred miles of it had already been built. Before Trump, long before Trump. This has been something that went through Congress ages ago. So it wasn't such the novel idea like they were making it sound. There are border fences and portions of walls in Texas bordering with Mexico. This is for a long time now. This is not anything particularly new, but there are a lot of places where it is still completely vulnerable, and areas that were supposed to get fencing that it has never been followed through. And part of that had to do with some hangups in the Obama administration and funding being reallocated and other things like that. But it was approved in a budget and it was put forth and there was a plan and part of it was done. So it's also kind of amusing to me that a lot of these, congressmen know this full well, and they still acted completely shocked and outraged at the thought of a wall, even though they'd already approved one.
Yeah, I guess that's the part that I think I find the most amusing is everybody's talking about this wall, and they're not talking about the fact that everything's already been approved. The only thing they were missing was the funding. So all we really have to do at this point is find the funding, and then this so-called impossible wall wouldn't be quite so impossible.
Right.
I don't know. To me, I'm kind of looking at the wall kind of the same way that I'm looking at the argument that's going on in my state right now, because we're broke. And we're broke because people have been mismanaging things for a while and they haven't been doing things the way they're supposed to. So now they're talking about raising the gas tax and they're talking about raising the production tax on the wellhead side. Because, right now, our production tax is only sitting at like 2%, which is like the lowest in the country. I think even, if I remember the numbers right, I think your state's even charging like 6-7%. And I think North Dakota, which is another big drilling state, is charging like 8%. National average is like 7.5, I think. So we're basically giving away our oil production up here. And it's killing us. Ooh. Because we're basically collecting about $363 million a year off of the oil revenue when we could be collecting basically twice that. Easy. So
wow.
They're fighting over how to fix the fact that we have a $900 billion hole in our budget right now. So the Democrats are wanting to tax pretty much everything. Mary Fallin wants to pretty much tax everything, which is kind of confirming my suspicion that she's been a closet Democrat now for a while. And the Republicans are basically kind of going along with her because she's the governor. It's kind of that weird situation like we find ourselves within D.C. It's kind of hard to fight somebody who's supposed to be on your team. So, I mean, my state's kind of scary right now. But this whole thing with the wall kind of reminds me of that same argument. Because, look, okay, so why can we not do this in multiple ways? Let's get used to the idea that it's going to be a combination of a wall, a fence, and technology. Let's use seized money from actual drug dealers that we know have been convicted of crimes, like El Chapo, to fund part of the wall. Let's take donations to fund the rest of the wall, and let's actually just get it done instead of fighting about it. Because, look, whether I want the wall or not, a good portion of the people in this country want the wall, or they wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. So what happened to the side that wins gets the things that they ask for? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, you are there.
Whoops.
Okay. You got really quiet, so I wasn't sure if I
Yeah,
lost you.
I was trying to say something. It just wasn't coming. I don't know. I was hearing an echo for me, and then I stopped for a second, and then you didn't say anything. It was still silent. So I didn't know if I was on or not. I thought we may have lost each other. And now I don't remember what we were talking about. Oh, Oklahoma and the drilling and getting what. So it really kind of surprises me that they're going along with this, with the taxing everything, wanting to.
Well, they kind of really don't have a choice because it was a Republican governor that proposed it. So now they're like, yay, tax all the things. And I'm like, wait, you guys sound an awful lot like the Democrats now. And the funny thing is some of the Democrats are going, you Republicans are really kind of not sounding very Republicanish right now. And I'm like, I literally am kind of feeling like remember how national politics have kind of felt like we've been living in a twilight zone? Local politics here in Oklahoma are starting to seem a lot the same way because there are certain Democrats that are talking like Republicans now, and there are a lot of Republicans that are talking like Democrats now. And I'm just like, I don't understand the world. Stop it. I want to get off.
But I feel like this is not the first time that Fallon has kind of done this kind of thing, kind of traded what would actually be like conservatism or, Republican for some sort of kind of fixing idea of something. I feel like there was something a few years ago that she did kind of similar where everyone went, wait, what? Like, are you a Democrat? What's going on? And it was really bizarre. I mean, she's super conservative on the really like traditional value stuff. But it seems like every now and then there's something like this that pops up that she's a little out in left field.
All right, so we've got to take a commercial break because we've been going long, but I actually want to touch on this one. We may get into it a little bit more when we get back. Actually, Jess just brought this to my attention, and I'm glad she did because I had seen it earlier, and I wanted to make sure that we talked about it. An Iraqi news website has reported on Sunday that 3 Islamic militants in northern Iraq were attacked and killed by wild boars known to inhabit the region. Sources in the region have confirmed. So, yes, folks, even the pigs hate ISIS, which is kind of funny because they're the ones that won't eat them. Kind of confused by that, but anyway, just a little bit of a kind of a funny story before we take the commercial break.
Yeah.
We're a little long. Actually, we're a lot long. We're like 45 minutes in, so we need to take a break. We'll be right back. This is Jen and Rick. Don't go away. We got about 10 minutes or so left when we get back-ish. Be right back.
It's too late to turn back now. I wouldn't if I could. 'Cause I'm proud as hell. I can't bring myself to do what it is you think I should.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
All right, folks, we're back. We're live. We got a late start. We were late to break, so now we've got about 13 minutes of the show left. And again, I will not be able to do a solo show tonight because I can't talk for more than 5 minutes without having to hit my mute button, which would be really, really boring when it's just me. But it works well with Jen here because I can mute and cough while she's talking. Now, before we went to break, I actually did bring up a story that I'm sorry. I'm kind of backtrack to this a bit again because the irony in this is just delicious. I mean, literally, we're talking about ISIS fighters that were killed by wild boar in Iraq, which, I'm sorry, is the irony there lost on anybody? Because that just seems really funny to me.
No, bacon wrapped ISIS. Isn't that how they want to go? No? Is that unclean?
So you do realize
Sorry
that...
if I'm a jerk about it, but I really don't care.
No, I mean, think about this for a second, because first of all, you know they ate them. I mean, literally, you know if they took the time to kill them, those animals were probably hungry, so they ate them. You know what happens to a Muslim as far as their holy teachings are concerned if they're defiled by pork. So, no virgins for these guys, I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, and we know, I think most people know that, like, all kinds of pig eat pretty much anything. So, yeah, I'm sure they did eat them, and that is so weird, but also just in some sort of way kind of hilariously delicious.
ISIS fighters who refuse to eat bacon eaten by bacon, film at 11.
Oh Oh my gosh, that's just seriously, as soon as I heard that, I was like, bacon wrapped ices. That's what we're having for dinner. But yeah,
we should have tried to get that hashtag trending.
Wild boars are scary. Wild boars are very scary. I know that like a lot of people may not realize this, and they have maybe not been around them, and there are all sorts of different kinds, of course, but yeah, wild hogs in Texas are like an actual problem, and they're considered pests, but they're also very dangerous. So you've got like hog wranglers to go around and try to get them off of people's properties, and I mean, they kill them, but it's they are a very aggressive, very strong, and very dangerous animal. So it seems like really silly, but yeah, they are not very friendly, and so I kind of love that this is how these men met their doom.
Definitely. I mean, I don't want to talk down the wild boar because, I mean, dude, if you've never been around one, they are legitimately scary. I mean, they really are.
They are vicious.
And they just don't give a damn. But the funny thing about all of this is just the fact that these people who hate pork were basically killed and eaten by pork with legs. I don't know. To me, I can't get over it. It just, that's kind of the ultimate irony to me. And I don't know, it's just kind of scary. The comments on this, because this is actually an article from The Blaze, the comments are kind of funny. One of the first ones at the top was LOL fitting, thanks for the help, bacon.
Oh my gosh. Well, all I can say is it's four less scumbag murderous ISIS on this planet, so I'm good with it.
Exactly. Okay, so one last one, only because it's freaking hilarious. And on this one, the comment was, even the goats are laughing.
Oh, that's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, it's bad, but it's, I mean, you gotta admit, it's kind of funny. Oh, man. Oh, so I guess one last story we really need to touch on, then we need to get out of here. So I used to have this big old long word for them, call them judicial activist hack judges. Now I just call them hacktivist judges because they're first of all, they're hacking me off. Second of all, it kind of is easier to say. Third of all, they're at it again. Anybody remember the executive order that Trump tried to get, or that he actually signed to try to cut off funding to sanctuary cities? The Ninth Circuit's at it again. They've ruled that executive order unconstitutional. So now it's unconstitutional to try to uphold federal law. How does that work?
Yeah. See, here's the deal. There shouldn't have even need to be an executive order because it is illegal. The sanctuary city thing just makes me insane. It makes me absolutely insane. It is so ridiculous that we need to have someone say it's okay to enforce law that's already in place, that is a part of the federal legal code, and that we have people employed to enforce. And I do think that there are ways in which that cities and states can go about differently how they handle some of these situations. But immigration securing this nation's borders very clearly falls under, it's one of the very few things that falls under the federal scope. And so it's not something that a city can just say, nah, I don't want to. So if we're going to have courts now rule that that is the case, then we might as well just rip up our Constitution, because it means nothing. If these judges sincerely believe that the federal government cannot enforce our borders and enforce immigration laws that are on the books, work to change them if you want them changed. But the fact of the matter is they're on the books right now, and they are to be upheld in every state under the federal government, absolutely constitutionally bound. And if they don't believe that's true, and if they're going to start rewriting things and interpreting them in a way that does not support that, then we don't even have a nation of laws, and we don't even have a constitution that is binding.
Here's my thing that I guess I don't understand. If President Trump trying to enforce immigration laws and cut funding to sanctuary cities is considered unconstitutional by these judges, why was the executive order that Barack Obama passed that walked all over the Constitution in regards to immigration law also not deemed unconstitutional? Because that's their stance.
That's a great question.
Because Congress is the one that, controls funding and also the one that ultimately can set immigration law. So that's the stance these judges are taking, is the fact that Trump's executive order actually bypassed Congress and basically took over some of their main reasons for existence, which honestly on its face is true. It's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of executive orders. I don't think there needed to be an executive order in this instance, because these cities and now these states that are deeming themselves sanctuary cities and states have violated federal immigration law. There shouldn't have to be an executive order to enforce that. But since there was an executive order, and this judge has deemed this executive order unconstitutional because it was an overreach of presidential authority, Congress is the one that controls immigration. Well, Congress is still controlling immigration, and Congress has never told us that it's okay for people to come in illegally and that it's okay to have sanctuary cities. So why is that not being deemed unconstitutional by these same judges? Is it because nobody's bothered to bring the suit, or just because they refuse to hear the suit? Because I'm kind of curious about that, because I've never heard of anybody trying to sue based on Obama's executive order.
No, they certainly didn't. But I do know that there have been some cases against some of these cities that have been dismissed and have been ruled against. So I know that there have been some, maybe it's some states' attorney generals, or whether it was maybe someone in the county of these cities, of some of the sanctuary cities that has gone to fairly liberal courts, and they've said, nah, it's fine, they can do that, which is just absurd to me.
I mean, none of this makes any sense to me. So now we basically have judges that can override the Constitution?
Well, it's even further than that, though. Some of these places have it saying that not only are they a sanctuary city, but they refuse to allow, they demand and order their government workers. They are not allowed. They are restricted from reporting anything. So even if they have someone in custody that is an illegal and has a rap sheet a mile long, they are not allowed to, on basically the weight of their job, losing their job, even report this to someone, even if it's a dangerous criminal. There are a lot of cities that have that kind of thing in place, and it basically threatens government employees and police officers from notifying the federal government or, ICE. So that they are not allowed to cooperate with federal employees or border officers and immigration officers in any way, shape, or form. And that has been upheld. That is absolutely ridiculous. And really, like you said, I mean, what is constitutional, then they can just overrule it.
I mean, it's just, I don't understand what we do at this point, because if no matter what we do, these activist judges are just going to be able to roll from the bench and say, nope, not constitutional, can't do that either. Not constitutional, can't do that either. The thing about it is, these people are not actually, they're not advocating for rule of law. They're ruling with their feelings, which is not what they're supposed to do. That is not how this is supposed to work. There's a reason why the judicial system symbol is Lady Justice with holding scales on an even kilt with a blindfold on. Because feelings don't come into this. They are not supposed to come into the equation. It's a black and white issue. Did they come into the country legally? If yes, they can proceed. If no, they need to go back. Period. Plain and simple. I don't understand why this is such a problem. other than the fact that we now have an entire group of people that think that we need to lead with our feelings, which is this is the same group that tells us that the only thing that matters is science. But now science has proven that God's not real and gender's a myth, and that global warming is caused by man, when only one of these things is legitimately true and the others are just emotional. Because God does exist. I don't care what anybody tells me. I have faith in the fact that he exists, much like these morons have faith in climate change. So they need to quit telling me my faith is stupid, or I'm going to keep telling them that their faith is stupid. I don't really care. But the whole situation doesn't make any sense, because what happened to logic? What happened to reason? What happened to the ability to be able to draw your own conclusions? These people are all basically groupthink morons. And the judges are now being exactly the same way. Well, you can't do this because this will hurt the immigrant population. I'm not talking about the immigrant population. I'm talking about the illegal alien population, not the immigrant population. I am in no way, shape, or form opposed to actual immigration into this country. I am, however, 1,000,000,000% opposed to illegal aliens being in this country and not having to face a consequence for being here illegally. If I don't put my seatbelt on, I'm running the risk of getting a ticket for making a decision that only really impacts me. However, there is a state law, and now basically almost a federal law, that says that if I'm in a motor vehicle, I have to have a seatbelt on. If I can get a $20 ticket for exercising my free will to not put my seatbelt on, why can these people not get arrested and deported for willingly breaking a law? Because I don't care what you say, they came here illegally, which makes them criminals. And I'm sorry, there's
right. I mean,
there's one more thing.
Yeah.
There's a reason we have shoplifting laws, because there's really no such thing as a small criminal. They start out small. Eventually, they probably aren't going to stay that way.
Well, I really get sick of this argument. Like, you hate immigrants. You don't want immigration. You're a nationalist. You just want to keep them. BS. Like, I hire immigrants all the time. Guess what, though? They're legal. And, I know that even my employer, and working in the service industry, that there are a lot of places that, at least, from the information they get, they know that these people are supposedly legal. But I personally hire people that are on visas, and I've got to witness 3 or 4 actually gain their citizenship, and it's super special and very, very awesome. And they're great additions to this citizenry. So I really detest being told that just because I'm a conservative and because I believe in securing our borders and the sovereignty of our nation, and allowing us to decide who we do and don't allow in any way in which we please, and thinking that we do need to have some sort of rhyme or reason to this, and not just allow people to break our laws, come into this country, and then oftentimes still break laws, continue to break laws, and then be rewarded for it. And for me to just have to think that everything is just hunky-dory about it because they are people and they have a family. Well, so are a bunch of the other people that worked very hard to get here and to make it as a citizen or as with legal status, and most that I know don't appreciate it, and they don't appreciate the infantilization by the politicians on the left on this issue. The acting as if, like, well, these poor people, they have nothing better. They have to just come here illegally, and and they can only work these underhanded jobs, and that they think that it's just so silly, like they can't, like they don't know how to go through, like they don't have the smarts to go through the avenues necessary in order to have a green card or gain a work visa of some sort, or education visa. I mean, there's all sorts of different reasons to be here. I know someone that was here medically, and they're insulted by the idea that just, everybody is just a big dummy running for the border because Mexico is so horrible and they're so scared and they're undereducated and they don't have any better way to do things. And so we just need to give them the benefit of the doubt and they will tell you that they acknowledge that a lot of people go the other route because they want to avoid something, whether that is avoid the law because they're going to break it, whether that is because they want to avoid the law because they are dealing in drugs, which is still breaking the law, or because of money issues. They don't want to have to pay more than they do in taxes because they do, whether it's like a gas tax or a sales tax or a food tax. There are taxes that they do end up contributing to. They can't avoid that, but they don't want to pay, the income taxes and the other things. So a lot of those that I know will tell you that there are a lot that come in for those reasons, and that they avoid legality for those reasons. So it is an issue, and pretending like it isn't and trying to say that all however many million, anywhere from 10 to 15, depending on who you're talking to, are just good-hearted, hardworking people that just want to be here. And the only thing that they've done is, come here without legal status, and that's no big deal. I'm sorry, that just doesn't work for me. And I do feel for a lot of these families, and I've worked around, I live in Texas. I've worked around all of this for a long time, and I've seen it have an impact on my community. And I've been raised with people whose parents were illegal. So I do have a lot of sympathy for it on the human side of things. That does not mean that we have to completely abandon our legal system in order to accommodate. Sorry, a little bit ranty.
No, it's all right. I completely agree. But on that note, we are officially out of time because I didn't want to cut you off mid-rant, so we're long. Why don't you remind folks where it is that they can hang out with you when you're not on the radio ranting with me?
Yeah, can find me on Twitter at J Homestead. I'm on Facebook, JR Homestead, and check out my website with a group of bloggers and smart people, misfitspolitics.com.
All right, and I, of course, can be reached on Twitter at AOTR_host. You can follow along on Facebook either by finding the America Off the Rails show page or by sending Rick Robinson, which is me, a friend's request on Facebook. Just look for the one with the little cartoon character. It looks like he's standing on the cover of Time magazine. Send over a friend's request. We'll talk, we'll chat, we'll hang out. And of course, if you're old school, you can always shoot me an email at rick@klrnradio.com. Again, due to the fact that we got a late start due to technical issues and the fact that my throat is killing me, there will not be an America Off the Rails tonight. I promise I'm going to do everything to finish off Wednesday and Thursday with shows because I know I'm not doing so good this week. I took last night off and now I'm not going to be able to do one tonight either. So Wednesday and Thursday, there will be live shows for America Off the Rails. Now, I have something going on Thursday night, so I may be a few minutes late. I'm going to try to text you if something changes, though. All right. I should be pretty close to 9 o'clock, but it's going to be kind of tight. But I'll let you know if something changes. And on that note, we are out, folks. Take care. God bless. Have a great night. Want to thank everybody for taking the time to tune in and listen to us rant back and forth, because you literally have thousands of choices that you could make every single day to listen to podcast-wise or radio broadcast-wise. The fact that so many of you have started tuning in and listening to us here at klrnradio.com and other few places where these shows can be heard means the world to us, and we don't ever want you to think that we take that for granted. So you guys have a great night. Take care. We'll see you when we see you. Good night.